Whitetail Addictions. The hunt is on. There's no going back now. It's in your blood, a primal need that must be met. It drives you, it consumes you, it takes you to the edge. What was once a simple pastime has now become your addiction. This season, come share the excitement with a group of fellow whitetail addicts from Lone Wolf. Learn from their time-tested techniques, as well as their mistakes, and be there to experience firsthand the highs and the lows we've all come to thrive on. They are do-it-yourselfers just like you. Their season begins the moment the last one ends. And when it comes time to release an arrow, they come up big. This is Lone Wolf's Whitetail Addictions. This week on Lone Wolf's Whitetail Addictions, we're going to introduce you to whitetail addict Nathan Sanders. Nathan makes his living as a construction worker, spending most days working outdoors where he loves to be. Nathan puts in some long hours during the spring and summer months so that once deer season rolls around, he can focus all his efforts on his true passion, hunting big whitetails.
Well, my name's Nathan Sanders. I grew up in southeastern Ohio. Around here, deer hunting is just second nature to a lot of people, but I think I kind of caught the bug a little earlier than most. My dad used to take me squirrel hunting when I was just, 4 or 5 years old. Man, I remember, him and my uncles and everybody talking about deer hunting, and I just couldn't wait to get old enough to go, And, well, finally, when I was 10 years old, I shot my first deer, and it was a doe. Shot it with a little single-shot 20 gauge, and I was hooked. I mean, from then on, that's all I thought about. When I was probably 14 years old, my dad got my first bow for me, and it was just a little 40-pound bow, and really, he had bow hunted a little bit, but not a whole lot, and he worked a lot and was on the road and stuff, so I kind of self-taught myself a little bit, I think when I was about 17, I shot my first deer with a bow, and it was a buck. It wasn't a big buck, but, once I seen that arrow enter that deer's body, man, I tell you, that was it for me. I mean, I became an addict, a full-fledged addict after that, and all I wanted to do then was bow hunt. After maybe 10 years of hunting, I had found this buck. It was about 130-inch 8-point is all. And I'd found him in early season, filmed him in velvet, and ended up having a couple encounters with him before I actually killed him. And, to me, that was the greatest thing in the world. That I had killed bigger deer, but none more exciting than that one because I knew he was there. And I was hunting him, and I got to scout him in early season. So from then on, my addiction moved from just kind of deer hunting to finding a deer to hunt. I want a one-on-one relationship with this animal that I'm playing the game with, it's just a big chess game.
Welcome back to Lone Wolf's Whitetail Addictions. Nathan's first hunt takes place on his farm in southern Ohio. Nathan's been experimenting with decoys, and on this particular hunt, decides to try a combination of decoying and light rattling in a small field where he's been watching some good deer feed in the evenings. And it doesn't take long before Nathan spots a good buck entering the field. After taking a better look at the deer through his binoculars, Nathan realizes that this is a buck that he's seen before and named Kicker because of the 2 small kicker points coming off the deer's rack. As the buck starts to move off, Nathan grunts at the buck to get his attention. But because the deer is in a low spot of the field, he doesn't see Nathan's decoy yet. As the buck continues feeding, he spots some does entering the opposite side of the field and trots off to investigate. But the does want no part of the chase and vacate the field immediately. Nathan tries once again to get the buck's attention, and this time, it works.
That is the biggest buck I've ever plunged an arrow to and into in my life. I've got that deer on cam tracker. I filmed him with a video camera in velvet. And if that's the one, I think it is. Steven said he had the big sticker down here. He is like a 155 with a nice kicker and a little small drop tine. Well, it's the next day, and just by fate, Mike Cook found this deer for me. I thought that I put a good shot on him, and we got to looking at the tape and stuff, and we all agreed. I called 12 of my closest buddies. We come down, going to have a big party, and ended up, didn't find him last night. And I got up this morning, I was afraid it was going to rain. So I got up this morning and started looking for him kind of by myself and found blood where he crossed the road, and he ended up coming onto another section of my property over here that's real woolly. And matter of fact, this is where I seen this buck for the very first time this year. He's come probably a mile back to his home. So those running those does last night got him in trouble. But this is probably going to be the biggest buck I've ever killed.
Lone Wolf's Whitetail Addictions will be right back. Welcome back to Lone Wolf's Whitetail Addictions. Our next hunt takes place 1 week later in Iowa, where Nathan has positioned himself in a great travel corridor. And with the rut just around the corner, the bucks are on the move, working scrapes and responding well to calling. As this great buck works his way into bow range, Nathan decides he's a shooter and prepares for a shot. Nathan's arrow placement is perfect. and the buck has no idea what hit him.
Right here, puppy. It's a good buck. Man, I know there's some big monsters in here, but I just ain't the caliber hunter to let one like that go by me. I'm gonna guess that deer's close to 150. He's a big deer. But man, I'll tell you what, the Lord's really smiled on me the last couple. It was like a week ago Saturday. I killed a 155 in Ohio, and I'm not bragging at all. It's just, I'm just telling you how good the Lord's been to me this year. We hunt really hard, and you know, we take it serious. And I thank God that I shot this deer. Ain't nothing I like more than watching them fall so you can go right to them and recover them in the daylight. I had a bad experience last week about lost a deer, hit him bad, and he went a long ways, but this one didn't go very far. Go get my arrow. I know I seen it from the stand, if I can find it from the ground, but he's laying right over in this ditch. Let's go look at my deer. Man, I can smell him. Look laying yonder. Look down yonder. Nice buck. Nice buck. This deer fooled me. I thought he was, this is the first one fooled me the wrong way. I thought he was smaller than this, I really did. I'm used to seeing 180, 190 pound bodies, and this dude must be 250 or so. I mean, he's big. I had him guessed when he crossed the creek here, when he was across the creek, I thought he was like 140s, but now I know he's in the 150s, and I'm tickled to death I didn't let him walk by now.
Congratulations on another great buck, Nathan. Welcome back to Lone Wolf's Whitetail Addictions. For our last hunt, we find Nathan in Kansas during the peak of the rut. This is a great time to use estrus calls, and Nathan's efforts get the attention of this good buck. Unfortunately, the buck catches a whiff of the hunter and doesn't stick around long enough for a shot. But the great thing about hunting in November is anything can happen, and at any moment. And just as quickly as one opportunity can vanish, another one can come walking right to you.
There's a deer right there. It's a buck. It's a shooter. It's a big shooter. Right here it comes.
tore up. I don't think he's quite as big as I initially thought he was, but that's 140. Don't you think, man? I couldn't let him go. Big 8-point. It's big 8-point. I ain't tall tines. I may never get. Whew. Yeah, I'm tore up. I'm shook up. Whew. I love it. I love this feeling.
Well, I tell you what, this buck was in the wrong place at the wrong time this morning. I seen him over there rubbing a tree, seeing these big long G2s and the long weird main beams and stuff, and I said, man, I believe he's a shooter. He didn't wait around. We was right on his trail evidently. He come busting through there, and I let him have it about 25 yards.
I want to talk a little bit about food plots. Everybody putting in food plots, hunting over them. A food plot doesn't necessarily have to be the spot where you kill them. This buck was, all the pictures we got of him were on the food plots, but we couldn't kill him there. He was hitting it a little later, the wind was never right for it. So this scenario played is that the food plots we had were on the opposite side of a steep ravine, and he was bedding in a little CRP field on up over that ravine on the other opposite side. So we actually killed this deer going into his bed, but a food plot played a major role in it. We knew where he was feeding, then we figured out where he was bedding, and you try and ambush him somewhere in between. He didn't cooperate, so we dove right in and killed him right in his bedding area.
We'd like to thank Nathan Sanders for sharing all 3 of his successful hunts with us from this past fall. A lot of hunters would consider shooting 1 good buck on film a great year, but to harvest 3 mature bucks on video in 1 season, well, that's 1 incredible year of hunting.